defeated the struggle of so many millions of people in this country today. To the forefathers of the war, the organised and against the people in this country. These instructions from the state of formalities and the state of words, and again, he was the prime elected leader of the Labour Party in 2015 before he's running. He's also been a member of Parliament for Islamophobia No since 1983, as well as being a co-founder of Stop the War. And in my eyes, and in the eyes of millions of people in this country, the finest Prime Minister this country never had, the Right Honourable Jeremy Corbyn. I'm now going to hand over the mic to Arthur Murray from Bradford to Stop the War. Arthur Murray. Thank you very much, Hussain. Give Hussain a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. It's been working all day.
Future Prime Minister.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And a great big, warm, hearty, sincere, heartfelt welcome to everybody here, whether you're from Bradford or anywhere within the West Yorkshire region. A big welcome to you all, and thank you very much for Thank you very much, Can I make a quick announcement as well? This event has been sponsored by several members, and they have donated to National Food, which is available just here by the canteen here, and sisters here in Bradford for this important occasion, because it's always an important occasion when we speak out against injustice. It's always an important occasion when we speak out against oppression. It's always an important occasion when we speak out against racism. It's always an important occasion when we come together united by the desire to organise to create a better, more peaceful and more just world. So I'm pleased to be with you today, particularly on this auspicious occasion of the important relaunch of Bradford Stop the War coalition. Only the politicians in power, Tory and Labour when Blair was Labour leader, had listened to Stop the War coalition over 20 years ago. Then many lives have been saved around the world, and the world is so much more a peaceful place. The first ever national internationalist demonstration I ever went on was a Stop the War demonstration on the 15th of February 2004, asking the Blair government not to go into George Bush's illegal war. I'll remember that demonstration as long as I live. I remember getting to the steps of Leeds University at the crack of dawn with my friends and getting on the coaches down to London. And when we got there, we knew that people felt like us. We knew people felt strongly that nothing could have prepared us to see millions of people marching against that illegal, unjust and immoral war. And the protesters were right. It was a diverse protest. The protesters were right. The movement was right. So when anybody criticises or attacks Stop the War,
attacks on the Palestinians over the last week. And it seems to me that as people living in Britain, with our history in Palestine, with the role of the British Empire over the last 100 years in Palestine, and with the way in which Britain is still supporting Israel in everything that it does, it is only right that we demonstrate and we protest and we boycott and we do all these things in solidarity with the Palestinians. And we have built a huge movement internationally. The movement has been so big because it is partly because of what we have done here, but more importantly what the Palestinians themselves have done by uniting the people in the West Bank, the people in Gaza, the people in Israel itself, and the people in Jerusalem.
Friends, it's a privilege and honour to be with all of you here today. And as we stand in the Centenary Square in Bradford, we stand here united together for peace, for equality and for fairness. And as we do it in this my home city of Bradford, a district that I am proud to represent, and a city of sanctuary. We in Bradford have for decades welcomed people from around the world fleeing persecution, oppression and injustice, who today call Bradford their home. And I want to firstly thank all of those people for the massive contribution, the culture and the friendship that they have brought to Bradford. Because Bradford has always been firm in that nobody chooses to be a refugee. Nobody chooses to face persecution and oppression.
In this country my voice may reach. Let's support this man, otherwise we will never have another man who will stand up for us and suffer the consequences. It's now or forever lose people like Mr. Corbyn. My dear friends, my dear citizens, and those who have come from outside of Bradford, my dear countrymen, it gives me immense pleasure to announce Mr. Jeremy Corbyn!
See what he did? He turned the mic off on me. Thank you for coming. Thank you for that lovely welcome. And thank you so much to everyone that organised today's event. To you, Chair, to all the helpers and all the volunteers, and to you, Usman, for putting so much together in putting this event on today. Thank you very much indeed. So these events don't happen by accident. They happen because people believe, people want to see change, people want to do things differently, and want to promote solidarity. This great city of Bradford was the cradle, the birth, in many ways, of the Labour movement in this country. The Independent Labour Party was founded here. Many of those that founded the ILP had a vision of a country that cared for each other in health, in education, in housing, in provision of libraries, of learning and of opportunities for young people, that stood up against the mill owners and those that have exploited people so grievously. They stood with the trade unions and so much else. Bradford has given so much to the Labour Party and the Labour movement, and indeed through that to the world all over. Bradford also was a place that seriously opposed the imperial and colonial wars of the 19th century, that opposed the Boer War at the turn of the 19th and 20th century, and had a very big anti-war movement in 1914, who took the view that workers in this country would benefit naught by killing workers in Germany. The war was actually between the imperial powers of those two nations, and they sought a Europe and indeed a world of peace. So when our children learn the history of the foundation of the unions and so much else, they will come back to Bradford to understand what went on here and the contribution that Bradford made to our collective history. And I wish we had a government in office and a Secretary of State for Education that understood our children should be empowered by history, not fed propaganda against their own history. Redouble our efforts to stop the wars of tomorrow. We were not founded, as some people think, to oppose the war in Iraq. We were founded to oppose the bombing of Afghanistan after the terrible events of 9/11. I remember like it was yesterday, at that rally, Bruce Kent, who spoke there, said, "It's very easy to unleash the dogs of war. It's very hard to get them back in the kennels afterwards." That bombing went ahead, that occupation went ahead, and sadly, a very small number of us in Parliament voted against that war in 2001. Then talk began about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, but during the same time, the war got worse in Afghanistan, got less reporting, and now we have a US government calling for a future of Afghanistan that is a coalition between the existing government and the Taliban. You couldn't make it up. Sadly, tens of thousands have died, including 450 British soldiers in that interim period. Billions has been spent. Poverty has increased. Refugee flows have increased. And there's no end in sight to the insecurity, the poverty and the conflict for the people of Afghanistan. So I say to any fugitive or future politician, when you sit on the green benches in Parliament and somebody urges you to go to war, it's not their children they're sending to war. It's not their children that are going to be bombed. It is somebody else's and somebody else's. It's easy to wrap yourself in the flag in that moment of glory.